G'day, Ben here from on3legs.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use the de-ghosting options inside of Photomatix Pro. So you can see here we've got 5 exposures of a kayak race about to start in Sydney Harbour, and one of the things that with people is they move, even if only slightly they can move, they can create this thing called ghosting in our final image. Now you'll see I've picked this photo in particular because there's this guy here on the right hand side of the shot with the white hat. You'll see that he is running up past the camera, and this will create quite a bit of ghosting when I put them all together in Photomatix. And I'm going to show you what it is that Photomatix does to de-ghost it, and why I actually prefer to try and plan for this when I'm out shooting rather than try and fix it later. So let's bring these 5 images into Photomatix and say we want to merge them. There's my 5 raw files. We'll see OK. Now you see there's a whole bunch of choices here that we can use, but I'm only going to tick this one here, which is show options to remove ghosts. If you can see down the bottom box there, the little helper box, it says check this option only if your scene includes objects that moved between the bracketed shots, otherwise leave it unchecked. And it says as removing ghosts lowers the quality of the merged image. And I'm going to show you how it does do that, because it does definitely lower the quality of your merged image. However, if you've got a situation where you've got someone running through your shot and it's the only shot you've got, then you're going to have to de-ghost it. Now, I prefer to do de-ghosting in Photoshop layer with layer masks later. You know, if you're interested in finding out more about that, jump onto my website on3legs.com. I've got a free HDR tutorial there. I'll show you how to use the layer mask. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Photomatix Pro feature for removing ghosting. So here we go. Show de-ghosting options. Now what it's going to do is it's going to convert the whole thing into like a HDR preview, if you like, for us to have a look at, which is what's coming up on screen now. And as suspected, if you have a look at the guy with the white hat now, you can see there's 5 of him, and you can see where he's moved through the shot, and it's very, very ghosty. And in fact, a lot of the people, if you look at the people, most of the people are, now some of them are standing still enough where the ghosting didn't happen, but you can see even down here on the very bottom right of the screen is somebody doing some stretching exercises, so they're ghosting as well. And what we can do is we can use Photomatix to remove this ghosting. So you can see over here the selective de-ghosting or automatic de-ghosting. And if you do automatic de-ghosting, you sort of pick an exposure that you want to use as your base photo, and you let it do its job. You just slide the slider across, as you can see, medium, and it's doing its thing. You can see it just does not do a very good job at all, right? So I'm just going to do very strong, and you'll see that it's done a better job. If you have a look here, he seems to be missing his right leg, so now he's a one-legged kayaker. So I don't suggest to use automatic de-ghosting at all. I suggest we use selective de-ghosting. Now what we've got to do with selective de-ghosting, and I'm just going to use this guy as a reference point right now, so the guy with the white hat that we've been looking at for the whole video, I'm going to hold down my left mouse button now, and I'm going to draw around him, and sort of like a selection tool. Now you see it's made a selection, and what I do then is I right click, and I can choose what photo I want to use as the base photo, or the photo that Photomatix uses. So I'm going to select a photo. I just used the Naught EV, and even in that one I know he was a bit blurred, but I can do this anywhere I want. So these guys here talking on the left, same thing. I can select them, so I've made it so it's now marked as needing de-ghosting, same as these guys here having a chat in the middle of the screen. Let's do them, and let's do another circle around this person down here that is stretching, bottom right hand of screen. Now we can say preview de-ghosting, and it's now going to show us what it's done for those areas. Now you can see that if we have a look at the 2 guys on the left, they're looking pretty good now. The 2 guys center of screen, they're looking pretty good. My guy running past, he's okay, he's still blurry, but that's because of the shot. But at least he's got his right leg now. And you can see the person down doing the stretching on the very bottom right hand side is looking okay. If I return back to the selection mode, I can actually now set different photos for the selection. So because I know he was blurry, this guy with the white hat, in the Zero EV photo, I'm going to go to the -1 and see what that looks like. And I'm also going to do the same for the guy down the very bottom. It's used the +2, so I'm going to bring it back to the 0, where hopefully it will be he will be not moving. Let's hit the preview button again, and Photomax is doing its thing. You can see this time it's much better. The guy with the white hat doesn't look like a ghost at all now, and you'll see down the bottom right hand corner he's pretty good. His right leg's a little bit blurry because he's moving it quite fast. I could probably try and fix that again, so we'll do that. Let's try the -1 photo and say preview, and you'll see that it does a pretty good job. Now, one of the challenges is that it doesn't always get it right. Now, if you have a look at this guy once again, bottom right hand corner, his right knee is completely missing, and that's because I didn't make my selection big enough. So if we go back to selection mode, you'll see that my selection stops at the kayak. His right knee at that point was actually above there, so I can redo the selection by removing it and then make the selection again, but this time make it bigger like that. And then I'll set the -1 as the one we want to use and preview. And so you can see it's a bit time consuming, but it does quite a good job. But it doesn't always get it right. So if you have a look now at the guy down the bottom right hand corner of the screen that's stretching, now he's nice and clear. And you could sort of, if you wanted to do this, you could do it for everybody. So once again, I could select the whole group of people along the foreshore like this, one big selection, and then I could select the -1 EV. Let's do that, and let's see what happens. And you'll see that it will pretty much now put everybody, nobody's a ghost anymore, everyone's sort of standing still, which is beautiful. Now, one of the challenges with this, let's just go back to selection mode and say that we wanted to use, for this guy here, the -2 EV. You start to get like a lot of noise coming through, because what it's doing is pushing the shadows up. So I don't know if you can see that now with the guy with the right hat. The contrast on him is vastly different to the rest of the shot, and that's because it's pushing the shadows up in the -2. So if I now say OK and merge to HDR, you'll actually see that in pretty much all of the selections. Because what's happening is Photomax is taking the shadows and pushing the shadows up to try and match the rest of the exposure, rather than taking the best possible pixels. So what you end up with is something like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom right in on this guy so you can see how bad that is. I'll do the same down here on this guy. Same thing. You'll see all the noise, the black pants, even these guys here that I use the 0 exposure value on. You can see they've got haloing going on. It just doesn't look good at all, along with all the people. And now I can go through and set this to default even, and you can, even over here where I've made that selection, you can see it's horrible. And so this is where it degrades the image quality. So if you're going to use deghosting inside of Photomax, I say be extremely careful. And you can see that I've even made a mistake down here. Have a look at this. There's the foot of a, I don't know, of a ghost. See that? And that's because his leg is split in two, and that's because the selection wasn't quite right. So you've got to be really careful about what you do inside of Photomax when you're doing the deghosting. It does work, but I'm going to say it's not perfect, and I would prefer to use Photoshop later. Like I said, if you're keen on learning how to use the layer masks in Photoshop to do the deghosting, head to my website, on3legs.com. I've got a free HDR tutorial there that'll take you through step by step. Plus, if you want to get Photomax, there's a link in that free HDR tutorial to buy Photomax, and you can download a free trial if you want to give HDR a go yourself. So head over there and grab that link for the free trial and give it a go yourself. So there you go. Hopefully that's helped you out, and happy HDRing.